Welcome to Catholic Mom Mindset, a daily show where you learn to walk closely with the Holy Spirit so you can live the life God is calling you to. I'm your host, Sterling Jaquith. Let us begin. Welcome back. Today we're talking about designing your life on purpose. And that has to do with imagining yourself in the future. So saints don't just happen by accident. Saints decide that they want something. And I think that what they want comes from inside of them and from the Holy Spirit. It's why when I meet two women, their dreams are always different because the Holy Spirit lives inside of them and has kind of created these dreams, planted them in their hearts, and they're destined for two different things. And so your dreams that live inside of you, they come from God. Your sainthood story, the imprint of that, the fingerprints of that are created inside of you and they come from God. Whatever kind of saint you're supposed to be, He's already decided and He's put breadcrumbs in your life and He's put those desires in your heart. So we get to design our life on purpose. That's what these tools help us do. They help us get out of feeling stuck and like victims and like we can't help ourselves. And they put us into thinking, who do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to create? And I want you to ask the Holy Spirit that. I want you to say, Lord, send down the Holy Spirit to give me wisdom and counsel and knowledge so that I know who you want me to be, where you want me to go. And then I want you to imagine that future version of yourself. It may be far out in the future. It may be 5 years out. It may be 1 year out. But what is a version of you in the future that is more of a saint than you are now, that you can imagine? Something you've desired. For example, I now live in northern Idaho, and it was 2 years before I moved here that I had this burning desire to move out of the city and to move to northern Idaho. And it took 2 years to make it happen, but God kind of whispered that into my heart and then fanned the flame of that fire and until I took lots and lots of action until we were able to make it happen. And now we live in northern Idaho and it's wonderful. But there was a time when I imagined that that's what my future self was going to do. And so I want you to think about that. What is God calling you to do? Who is He calling you to be? What does your sainthood self look like? How would you become more of the best version of yourself? We usually know the answer. Then I want you to play act like that version of yourself. I want you to ask yourself, how does that version of me think? What does that version of me do? Now, when I was imagining my future self in northern Idaho, me in the future who lived in northern Idaho wasn't looking at properties to live in northern Idaho. So there were some things that I had to do in my life right now to create that future version of myself, but I didn't know what to do. One was my husband and I had to figure out how to have jobs that we could do from computers because we knew that there weren't a ton of jobs in northern Idaho and we needed to find a house. So I set about working on, becoming a woman who has a job that I can do from anywhere and looking for a house for my family in northern Idaho. Now let's say that the future version of yourself is at your goal weight. You're healthy, you're fit, you're toned, and you're at your goal weight. What does she think about food? Is she constantly obsessing about food all the time? Or does she eat when she's hungry and stops eating when she's had enough food before feeling full? What kind of food does she eat? How does she treat herself? How does she talk to herself? I'll tell you what's interesting is when you lose all of your weight, you actually don't even think about food that much. You're thinking about other things that are happening in your life. It's really those of us that have had a lot of extra weight on our bodies, we're the ones obsessing and thinking about food all the time. And so the trick to this is to imagine what you want into the future and to think about that future version of yourself and then to practice being her right now. Imagine that you were chosen to be an actress in a movie and I gave you this role and I said, you are a woman who lives in northern Idaho at her goal weight, enjoys her children, enjoys homeschooling them, is a life coach, and has a passionate and fun marriage. Now, your job is to imagine that woman and to begin playing her today. How does she think? How does she show up? What does she choose? And you just begin trying that on. And the more you ask yourself, what would she be thinking and what would she be doing? You're rewiring your brain and you will start to actually become her. So if she wakes up and thinks, I'm so blessed, she looks around at her life and she thinks, I'm so blessed. Well, you can just practice feeling that about your life right now. And then like we mentioned previously, you can create a bridge thought. That was episode 10. I'm learning to feel blessed. I'm practicing feeling blessed. And that's going to create better feelings, which are going to drive more helpful actions to create the results in your life that you want. So I want you to ask yourself, what do you want your future to look like? Who are you in the future? And how can you begin playing that role right now? Thank you so much for listening and have a blessed day. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Catholic Mom Mindset. To learn more about growing closer to the Holy Spirit, check out our free resources at madeforgreatness.co. Thank you so much for listening and have a blessed day.